Welcome to Part 4, Gathering of the Ethiopian Armies. Today, we're diving into the incredible story of how Ethiopia managed to assemble one of a formidable army. And believe me, this was an army that was about to shatter every single expectation the Europeans had.
Okay, so let's get right into it. The date is September 17th, 1895, and on this day, Emperor Menelik II issues a national call to arms. Now you have to understand, this wasn't just some dry official command. No, this was a powerful appeal, one that tapped right into the faith, the pride, and the deep history of his people. As one source put it, it was like a magic wand that just woke up the entire nation.
And you know, what this call managed to do was something that pretty much everyone, especially the Italians, thought was totally impossible. It literally forged unity out of division. See, for years, Ethiopia was this patchwork of powerful regional princes who were frankly often at each other's throats. But now they were facing a common threat, a threat to their very existence, and suddenly, all those old rivalries started to fade away.
So what you get is this incredible mosaic of scores of nationalities, all coming together. I mean, you had leaders like Ras Mengesha of Tigray, who was a sworn enemy of Menelik, and Negus Teklehimana of Gojum, another major rival. And what did they do? They answered the emperor's call. They marched north, not as enemies anymore, but as Ethiopians, shoulder to shoulder, ready to defend their homeland.
All right, so let's talk about the sheer scale of this, because this is really at the heart of the huge mistake the Italians were about to make. Their intelligence folks were getting reports, about this massive army coming together, but what did they do? They just dismissed it. They thought it was all exaggeration, just myths. They literally could not wrap their heads around the idea that an African nation could put together a force of this size.
But here's the thing, it wasn't a myth. Not at all. We're talking about an army of over 100,000 warriors all converging in one place. To the European commanders, this looked like an unimaginable horde. But to the Ethiopians, this was a nation on the move. This was proof of the power of that call to unity.
And look, let's be clear. This was no disorganized mob. Far from it. This was a highly structured force. You can see the breakdown here. You've got these major contingents, each led by a seasoned military leader, an aristocrat like Ras Makonnen or Ras Mikhail. So what you have is this organized, multi-front army with a really clear chain of command, all leading back to the emperor himself.
And this image really gives you a sense of the journey. I mean, this army didn't just pop into existence overnight. It grew, it swelled during this incredible Great March North. Think about it. As the main force marches along this ridiculously rugged, almost 600-mile route, that's 1,000 kilometers. It's like a snowball rolling downhill. It just keeps picking up more and more regional fighters, growing from about 40,000 all the way up to that final number of over 100,000.
So this brings us to a massive question, a question the Italians got completely disastrously wrong. How in the world do you feed a moving city of 100,000 people, especially when they're marching through rugged mountains? The Italians were absolutely convinced it was impossible. Their whole strategy was based on the idea that Menelik's army would just starve, that it would collapse on its own. Their logic wasn't bad, but the information they based it on, totally flawed.
The answer? Well, it was a kind of logistical revolution, one that was deeply rooted in Ethiopian tradition. It's called the Geber Medria system, and it was a really sophisticated way of organizing things. Basically, think of it like this. Soldiers were given land, and the peasants who worked that land had to provide them with food, drinks, supplies, everything they needed. It was like a self-sustaining engine for this giant army.
And the numbers here, they are just mind-boggling. This system mobilized the entire country. You had over 72,000 cattle being moved alongside the army in a special system. You had more than 80 tons of grain and food waiting in depots along the way. And this is so important, you had a supply chain of more than 10,000 women marching right there with the army. They were cooking, carrying water, providing medical care. They were, without a doubt, the backbone of this whole logistical miracle.
Okay, so let's recap. We've got a massive, unified army that's being fed like clockwork. Pretty impressive, right? But logistics, that's only half the story. The real kicker, the army's true strength, was its fighting power. It was this amazing fusion of modern weapons and brilliant, homegrown tactics.
You see, Menelik was a master at playing the great game of European politics. Italy tried to put an arms embargo on Ethiopia, right? Well, Menelik just went around them. He used their rivals, France and Russia, to build up a state-of-the-art arsenal. He ended up with almost one modern rifle for every single soldier. That's 100,000 modern rifles and over 5 million cartridges to go with them.
And what this does is it creates this incredibly dangerous hybrid soldier
Think about it. From the time they were kids, these men were trained with swords and spears. They were absolute masters of hand-to-hand combat. Now you give that same person a modern, rapid-firing rifle, what do you get? You get a warrior who's a crack shot from a distance and an absolute nightmare up close.
But then there was their ultimate weapon. And it wasn't a gun, it was the land itself. The Ethiopian highlands are just brutal, unforgiving terrain. And the Ethiopian commanders, they knew every rock, every valley, every hidden path. They didn't see the mountains as an obstacle. Oh no, they saw it as a weapon, a powerful tool they could use against the invaders.
And their strategy was just brilliant. It was simple, and it was absolutely devastatingly effective. When they got to the area around Adwa, they didn't just camp out on the flat valley floor. No way. They immediately took the high ground. They positioned their troops on the cliffs, the mountainsides, all overlooking the narrow valleys that the Italians had to march through. From up there, they could see everything. They controlled the entire battlefield before the fight even started.
So here's the bottom line, the really crucial point. There was this enormous disconnect. On one hand, you have the Italians, totally blinded by colonial arrogance and terrible intelligence. They were expecting to fight a disorganized, tribal horde that would probably starve before the battle even began. And on the other hand, you have the reality, a unified, well-armed, and brilliantly supplied army of 100,000, dug in on the high ground, just waiting.
So now you've got this unified army, 100,000 strong, expertly supplied, and holding the high ground. Which begs the question, right? What on earth would the Italians do next? The stage was set, the trap was laid, and a historic confrontation was about to unfold.